Hello, everyone. My name is Kaylin Sandvig. I'm from the Homeschool Buyers Co-op. Thank you for joining us today. I would like to introduce Jean Burke. Jean is the creator, founder of College Prep Genius, and a homeschool mom of 2 kids who both received full ride scholarships to college. So she is the perfect person to lead us on our discussion today, Secrets to the Scholarship Search. And with that, I will turn it over to Jean and let you take it from here.
Thanks, Kaylin. All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. If you can hear me, put a yes in the chat box, and Kaylin is actually monitoring that. I can't, let's see, maybe I can see it. I'm not very techy.
Yep, we're good.
Oh,
everybody can hear you.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Well, I hope everyone is well today, staying safe while we're all in lockdown or house arrest or whatever you want to call it. I'm coming to you from Texas, and so very excited about this webinar, Secrets to Scholarship Search. It's something that's always on our mind, no matter what grade your kids are in. It's always about how can we get some scholarship money, get college paid for. And so I'm going to be sharing a lot of information with you today. So hang tight. But before we get started, I want to do a quick get to know you question. There's going to be a poll that's going to drop down. So, you know, how long have you been educating at home? You know, some of you may just have been kind of forced to that situation right now, or and your kids are at home, whether they're being taught by you or by maybe they're doing school online. Maybe the school that they went to is offering some kind of Zoom classes. So if you put that in there, this will give me an idea of you know, who's the audience today. Since I can't see you, this will help us out. So and then Kaylin will let you know when she's going to close the poll.
Yeah, I'm going to close in about 5 more seconds. So get those answers in there. And I forgot to mention, Jean will take questions at the end. So go ahead and put them in the chat box and we will revisit those as soon as she's done with her presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and end this poll.
Right, great. Okay.
Can everybody see the results?
Yeah, super. Great. Okay, so the majority of you are veteran homeschoolers, been doing it a while. Good deal. 70% of you, about 19% of you, anywhere from 1 to 5, and about 11% of you first year. All right, super. Well, it's good. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It's good to just kind of have an idea because, you know, we're all in different journeys. My kids, as Kaylin was saying, are both not only graduated from high school, they went on to go to, excuse me, my son went on to go to law school. He's an attorney. My daughter went on to go to grad school, and she's an FBI agent. So I'm kind of on the other end of it. So great. And also too, if you've never heard me speak before, you're going to find that I talk really fast, even though I'm from Texas. And so there's a lot of information I'm going to throw at you, a lot of website links and stuff. Don't worry about trying to write them down because it's a lot. But just sit back, relax. I'll get you the link to where you can actually get all the notes today. So just keep that in mind. So this way you're not worried. I'm an incessant note taker. So that's why I do that, because I'd rather spend my time giving you lots of stuff and then you go back and look at it later. So, and you're gonna hear a lot of things today that you may have never heard before. So hopefully, you know, I'll get you excited about how, you know, your kids can go to college for free. And as Kayla was saying, about, I want to say about 17 years ago, I think my son was in 9th grade. And as a homeschooling mom, we had no money for college, 1 income. And my friend mentioned to me about how you can get free college based on test scores. And so I was very intrigued, and we started going through the test, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And long story short, he became a National Merit Scholar. And we ended up throwing away 7 trash bags of college offers. Every day my mailbox was just full of letters and offers, full ride, free tuition, room and board, grad school, money to study abroad. I mean, just tons of perks. And then my daughter ended up getting scholarship money. And then my friends were like, okay, how'd y'all get free college? And that's when I wrote a book and started a class about 15 years ago. These are just some of the networks I've been featured on. I'm also a Fox News contributor, so I get to do a lot of really cool stuff. So let's talk about college. I mean, college is actually a lousy investment if you have to spend, you know, years paying off something that you did in a 4-year time frame. If this is a predicted cost of college. Now, right now, you can see that the difference between public and private and more of a top tier or Ivy League school, what it is on an average right now. Now, if you've got a student just now entered into high school, let's picture 4 years from now. Now, notice how much it's going to jump up. Again, this is predicted, but again, this is a terrible way to get into debt or mortgage your house over or use your retirement. There's no college worth that. So keep that in mind. Now, right now, as it stands, about half of all students get their college money from loans, about 40% from grants, and about 10% from scholarships. Now, the average student takes about 20 years to pay off college loans. That's 2 decades of their life that they're going to spend repaying back something other that, like I said, they did in a 4-year time frame. Now, when it comes to expenses of college, you know, people think of college like the tuition, but it goes beyond that. You know, you've got your books, your supplies, your fees, there's room and board, transportation, books. There's so much that go into the cost of college. So if you're given a figure, it may not be even the complete figure. So when people think about financial aid packages, or you talk to people who went to college, you're going to hear some words thrown around like the FAFSA. Now, believe it or not, the FAFSA is free money from the government. I do a seminar about that, and especially I go into it more in detail on other seminars, but I'll talk a little bit about it later on. The federal Pell Grant, work study programs, loans, tax credits, and then, of course, special state scholarships, which, again, we'll go into that a little bit more. So what I want to do is talk about the scholarship part, because this is the money that you don't have to pay back. This is not money that you get so much interest on a loan, and then you got X amount of time as interest starts, incurring after you graduate. Well, as it stands, there are $24 billion worth of scholarship money out there. Now, that is a lot of money. So what we're doing is, where is it at? How do we get it? How does it affect me and my student or students? And so this is, we're going to talk about as much as we can today in this 1 hour that we have. So I'm going to give you lots and lots of information. Now, when we're talking about looking for those outside scholarships, people ask me all the time, well, how do you get those other scholarships that are out there? Well, one of the things that you could do is you could have your student treat looking for scholarships like a part-time job. So let's say they started in 9th grade, for example, and maybe they applied for 2 scholarships a week over an entire year. Let's say they take off 2 weeks for good behavior, vacation, or whatever. That means they spent 50 weeks doing applying for 2 a week. That's 100 scholarships a year. That's a pretty good part-time job, because now they've got some time on their side. And the cool thing about scholarships is that once you win one, it motivates you to want to win another one and another one. It's kind of addictive kind of thing. And also, whatever your student is, make sure that they, whatever degree they plan on going into, make sure that they apply for the scholarships that would benefit them. I mean, if your child's not going to be an engineer, then obviously don't apply for engineer scholarships. Now, believe it or not, there actually are scholarships that start as early as 6 years old. For example, here's a few up here I showed you. The Jif Most Creative Peanut Butter Sandwich Contest. So again, you don't have to wait till 9th grade. The National Marbles Tournament Contest, or the Gloria Barron Prize for Young Heroes. So believe it or not, even your younger kids, now they're not really filling everything out, but you can also, guide them to start looking for scholarship. Applying for scholarships by making the best peanut butter and jelly sandwich or whatever. So again, you don't have to wait till they're in 9th grade. Matter of fact, the earlier the better. Now, when we're talking about scholarships, let's kind of get the nuts and bolts. What are scholarships? What are the differences? Well, you're going to hear terms like need-based versus merit-based. Need means it's based on your income. It doesn't mean that you're needy. It doesn't mean that you're poor or destitute. Need is that amount of money that the colleges say that your family can actually afford. Now, when they give that to you, you look at that and go, there's no way we can afford that. But I'll talk more about that in a moment. And then merit-based is based on some kind of accomplishment, whether it's a test score, whether it's sports, whether it's dance, art. And then there are scholarships that actually, the way you get the money is you come in for an interview and they ask you questions and they award, money based on, certain criteria. or a lot of the contests ask for a certain essay. Now, whatever contest that you end up applying for, make sure that you understand the judging criteria. That's really important. What are they looking for, or what question are they asking me? So I'll make sure that I don't, get off on the wrong direction. And one of the most important things when you're applying for these outside scholarships is to make sure that you meet the deadline. Because what's going to happen is they're going to say, you have to do a certain essay or interview or something by a certain time frame. And if you miss that deadline, regardless of how great the essay is, it's not going to matter. So again, make sure that they notate that. Now, where do you start looking for these outside scholarships? Well, the best place is just start where you are. Whatever state you live in, whatever city you live in, start there. The colleges in your area, or the colleges that your students starting to think about going to, local high schools. Now, y'all are homeschooling. I think everybody's homeschooling right now, but and you can't do this right now because the schools are closed. But once the schools open up, you can actually go to the guidance counselor's office, and usually what they do, there's a table spread out, there's little stacks of papers that have various scholarship offers, and those are available for everyone, even for homeschoolers, and you pay your taxes, so don't feel intimidated about going in there and picking those up. If your student is very talented in music or sports, that's a good place to start. There's scholarships for volunteering. Lots of organizations like the Lions Club or the Optimist Club, these in your area, check with them, because again, there's so many alumni that participate in these programs and these clubs that they have this money that they want to give out, to the students they feel that deserve it. Now, obviously, we can go on the internet, and the number one site is FastWeb. But there are other ones, CollegeNet, GrantsNet, scholarships.com. The newest one I just heard about is goingmerry.com, and you definitely want to check that one out. I heard about this just the other day. Basically it's a website that you can actually upload your transcript. It also autofills your common application for you and all that. So again, that's not going to be in the notes because I just found out about that one. So again, goingmerry.com. Now, the rest of these are going to be in your notes. I'll let you know if something's not in your notes. That way you can screenshot it if you want. Now, where do you start looking for these scholarships? Well, the first thing that you want to do is you want your student to set up a separate email. You don't want scholarship offers or college information to go into the personal email for lots of reasons. Number one, for the security. We don't know who people are. So we want to make sure that it's something like, maybe it says susie.scholarship@gmail.com. And also the fact that if you merge your email and start getting scholarships in your personal email, something's going to get lost. Either you're going to miss out on an important email, or you might miss out on an important scholarship offer because it's mixed in with everything else. So just make a separate email. And then you want to create a spreadsheet. Now on the spreadsheet, this is where you're going to get organized. You're going to make certain columns, name the website, what type of scholarship it is, if there's any logins or passwords to get into that site, notate that. What are the requirements? Are they needing you to come in for an interview? Are they wanting you to write an essay? Are they wanting you to create some kind of prototype, some kind of invention? What's the award money? Is it $5,000? Is it $10,000? And then the column that has deadlines, that's the one that you want to highlight. That's the one that you want to make sure that you don't miss when you're applying. Because again, if the time comes and goes and you didn't get it in, it's not going to matter. Now, another thing to do is you want your students to set up a profile about themselves. Write down everything that they know about each other. About themselves. Their ethnicity, what kind of cereal do they eat in the morning? What clubs are they involved in? Let them notate something about your personal background as a parent, or your employer, or their dad's employer, or clubs. It could go something like this. I'm 1/4 Cherokee. I eat Life cereal in the morning. I love Dr. Pepper, and my dad is a doctor and my mom is a nurse. Okay, that's kind of just a little bit of a synopsis. Some of that's true, some of that's not true about me. But what I will tell you is, once you've written all that down, now that gives you an opportunity to go online and say, I wonder if there is any scholarships for someone who is 1/4 Cherokee. Or is there a scholarships for someone who likes Dr. Pepper? So this helps you to kind of think outside the box and maybe look for something that you hadn't thought of before. Now, after your student fills out these scholarship applications, one of the important things I think is important that you understand is that they need to have a cover letter. Make it very nice, very neat. Make sure your student, types it, fills it, all the blanks. Now, if something does not apply, make sure they put in/A, not applicable, because sometimes a scholarship application can be completely rejected just if you left something blank. Even if it didn't apply, they don't know that. They think it's incomplete. So make sure you always put that in/A. Now, have them also include any essays if they require it, their resume, or in other words, their brag sheet. The brag sheet is it's who they are, what they've been doing with their life, whether they're involved in clubs or volunteering or whatever it is. Make sure they notate that, and then have them give it to you as a parent to double check for any errors, and make a second copy, because sometimes if it were to get lost in the mail, then and you put all that stuff in there and you found out it never reached the person, of course, now you have just a copy that you can just resubmit. Make sure you mail it in a large manila envelope. Now, the reason why you want to do that is because sometimes these scholarship contests get hundreds or thousands and thousands of people that apply, and you know what? Does not mean that they go through all of them. And to be honest, sometimes they might just pick the neatest one and grab it because there's just so many. And then one of the things to make sure that your application gets there, and that is to go to the post office and spend a few extra dollars and get it registered mail. Because once you get it registered mail, what that means is that letter carrier will absolutely make sure that that letter gets to the next person. They want that out of their hand as fast as they can, because if they were to lose a letter that's been registered, it could mean their job. So if they don't do anything right the rest of the day, they'll make sure that letter gets to the right place. Now, if the contest asks for an essay, make sure your student picks an upbeat topic. They don't like hard luck stories. And put yourself in the place of the judge. If you were reading the paper and this essay, what do you want to read? What do you want them to say to you? And then, of course, no matter what the topic is, somehow interject how if you are given this money, that you will be some kind of world changer with it. And then another thing you could do is go to that contest's website and read some of the previous winners and kind of get an idea of what they're looking for. I think that's a really good idea of saying, maybe I should scrap it and start all over again. This doesn't really line up with what I think these judges are looking for. Now, when it comes to scholarships, from a admissions counselor at a college, and you got to keep in mind, these admissions counselors have, and deans of department have so many scholarships to give out. So if you're meeting, for example, and you're interviewing, what they're looking for is what they call a great applicant. And GREAT is an acronym. And I'll touch on it just a little bit because I do this in a whole detailed in a different seminar. But and keep in mind, this will be in your notes. And they are looking for the great applicant, or the G is the grades, the GPA, as you will. They're looking for students who have, pretty good GPA. They don't have to be perfect. They don't even have to be 4.0, but they want to see improvement. They want to see that students did well in school while they're doing all these other things. And then, of course, their ranking. Now, as you know, all homeschoolers are ranked #1 in their classroom. And they're also the bottom of the class. So the good news is that ranking is not the #1 thing they look at anyways. They know that. Only 60% of high schools actually assign ranks. So most schools are looking for that holistic approach, or that well-roundedness. And then they want to see experiences. Has your student won awards? Are they involved in some kind of leadership position? Because this shows, again, that your student can handle the workload at college. By the end of the freshman year, 25% of students have dropped out of college. By the end of the sophomore year, 50% have dropped out. And when it's all said and done, about 1/3 of all students will actually finish college. So 2/3 don't even make it to the end. And 60% of those end up with debt and no degree. So they know that the two main reasons why students drop out of college is the workload and the finances. And so when they see that your student is well-rounded, what they can say is, this is a student that I feel, even though I don't have a crystal ball and I can't see the future, I can see the past. And I can see that if they're involved in all these things, they can probably handle the workload when it comes to college. They're also looking for activities for your student. Is your student involved in volunteering, community service? Do they play in a band? Do they work at a part-time job? Again, this is going to show that they can handle whatever's given them and not only graduate, but graduate with honors and hopefully become a supporting alumni. And then ultimately, they're going to look at the test scores, which is the number one thing that they look at. So this is what it means to be a well-rounded student or to be a great applicant. Now, if you've got a student who is very talented athletically in their sport, then of course they've worked many, many years to hopefully get a scholarship. But unfortunately, there are very few full rides when it comes to sports. As a matter of fact, there's only 6 sports that will actually give you a complete full ride based on that particular sport. Now, it doesn't mean you can't get other scholarships or anything, but only 6. And what happens is most colleges have a list of schools that they go visit. So they're probably not going to come to your homeschool group or your co-op to look for your student. This is why you, as a proactive parent, have to contact the coaches yourself. So you'll have to contact them and let them know, my student's, very talented in this area. Now, what I recommend that you do is you make a compilation video, i.e. DVD, of your student playing this particular sport or in a certain championship, and then even put it on a YouTube channel so that if you go interview, if they can't play the DVD, they can at least watch the channel. And also, when it comes to athletic scholarships, you want to keep in mind that the commitment level is very different than just normally going to college, because probably half the time you're going to be away from the school at these away games. And so that can maybe limit some of the social clubs or Greek life that they may want to get involved in. So just make sure they understand that, that it's not necessarily mean you're going to be on campus the whole time. Now, when your student applies for an athletic scholarship, what they have to do is they have to take their SAT scores or ACT scores, and when they take the test, they have to use that code 9999 when they register for the test, because that sends their scores directly to the NCAA eligibility center if they're going to play Division I or Division II sports. So this is crucial. What this has done is it's protected the students from the other students who were cheating. A lot of kids used to take the SAT for other kids, or there were all kinds of things going on. This way, your score goes directly to them. Now, let's talk about community service and volunteering. One of the great things about having our kids volunteer is it teaches our kids that this world is not all about them. Sometimes we look around at some of the kids of today and we think, gosh, they have this entitlement attitude, like the world owes them something. So we want our kids to build character and understand that there's a lot of needs out there and that they're very blessed and they should be very thankful. So community service is a great way for our kids to experience just stuff outside their box they're not used to. It's also a great way to make some connections, because some of those people later on down the road might be an open door to something else. So it does open up their whole worldview. And the thing about volunteering is there are scholarships for students who volunteer, and there are even scholarships for students who continue volunteering through college. So here's a few of them I just put up here. The Alliant Energy Service Scholarship, Prudential Spirit, the Samuel Huntington, the Disneyland Resort. Again, these are just a few. There's many, many more. But this is a way for your child to not only get those volunteer hours in, but hopefully, earn some money for college in the meantime. And again, this will be all in your notes. We have a lot of people keep joining the group, which is great. I love it. But for anybody who just joined, all this will be on the notes. I'll give you a link on the end when we get to the end. Now, I want to take a quick break and stop and do a fun question. This gives you kind of a little a mental break for a moment, because I've already thrown a lot of stuff at you. So Kaylin's going to give you a poll. And this is kind of all of us here at home. What has been your motto this last week? Namaste, 6 feet away. I washed my hands, I am essential, or toilet paper is overrated. So if y'all will click that on, give me an idea of how's your week been this week?
Okay, we'll keep it live for another 5 seconds or so.
All right. Well, so how about that? We've got a huge assortment. I love it. Okay, so 42%. I wash my hands. Isn't that crazy? I mean, have we ever never washed our hands so much? I love that. Coming in number 2, I am essential. Guess what, parents? You are. I know. And I've seen, the funny thing is, and of course, I know the majority of you are homeschooling now, but I think some of the funniest things I've seen this week on Facebook have been things like, nobody will ever ask a stay-at-home mom what she does all day ever again. And I love that. So you are essential. No matter if you work outside the home or not, we're all essential. Namaste, 6 feet away. You know, if we're all out there going to the store in the morning, like I go at 6 in the morning, so there's very few crowds, but I still got my mask on, my gloves on, and I'm staying away from people. And I love this. 12% of you said toilet paper is overrated. I can't find any. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, my sisters found some and brought me some over, but it's the craziest thing. I've never seen anything like it. The trees aren't dying, y'all. So why are we having a run on toilet paper? I don't know. So good job, y'all. Thank you. That's just a fun little question to kind of break up all this brain overload that I'm giving you. So that's awesome. All right. So, and other types of scholarships that you can get are more on the what is called the merit-based. So the creative scholarship. So if you have a student who's very talented in art or music or dance, piano, guitar, whatever it is, again, very similar to, like I said, about the sports, put together a video or DVD compilation of different performances or different recitals, and also put it on a YouTube channel so that if your student goes in, that they have available access so they can watch it. Now, there's also scholarships that are called unusual or weird scholarships. So a few of them, they're scholarships for left-handers. Do we have any left-handers out there? You can raise your left hand. My husband's left-handed.
Me too.
Oh, yay, Kaylin. All right. So I love that. My kids are both right-handed. I'm right-handed. But my daughter's fiance is left-handed. So I think I see a bunch of you putting stuff in. This is great. The best duct tape prom dress scholarship. There's actually scholarships for short people or tall people. And I don't know what height they're talking about. There's scholarships for the best milk mustache. If you can speak in Klingon, hello, there's money for you out there. That's just a few of them. And this link right here to get to more fun ideas will be in your notes. But again, there's probably money out there for just about everybody. If you can think it, then you could probably find it. Now, there's also scholarship money for minorities, inroads.org, nacme.org, NAACP.org. So again, this will all be in your notes. If you have a student with special needs, again, ahead.org, add.org, and so forth. So that's why it's really good to write that profile that we talked about in the beginning. Write down everything about yourself and then start searching. Now, besides getting scholarship money to get into college, which is great, which is what we're all about, there are also these competitive honors program or some prestigious scholarships. One of my students took my class and got her scholarship money to Princeton, which is the #1 college in America. But not only did she get that, in the summertime, she got these other programs that she got to be involved in. Like one summer while she was in college, she got to study at Oxford. Another summer, she got to study in Israel. So, imagine being able to get some money to do some really cool things, like the U.S. Presidential Scholarship or the Telluride Association or the U.S. Senate Youth Program. So again, just some ideas to get your wheels turning that not only get money to get into school and pay for school, but get some money to do some things that you can do in the interim in between the different semesters of, throughout the, whole collegiate time that your students are there. Now, I want to talk about 3 little known secrets about scholarships. The first one is have your student, especially if they're doing this as a part-time job, look for those small scholarships, the $200, the $250, the $300 ones. And the reason why is because it's less competition. The majority of students are going for those $5,000 and those $10,000 ones. But if you get a whole bunch of little ones, and like we said before, if you're applying for 2 a week, and when it's all said and done, 50 weeks out of a year, you've applied for 100 scholarships that year. And a lot of those could be the little ones, and that can add up to a lot of money. The second thing is, when your student is searching online, you want to use what I call big words. So instead of using the word scholarship, look for words like endowment or foundations or honorarium or donors or trust. Some of these, because what these are words that will bring up a whole slew of contests and money that you probably wouldn't find if you use the word scholarship. And the last thing is, scholarships are offered year-round, which is important because a lot of students, when they're searching or people are searching, they're really kind of only looking in the spring and the fall. Well, that leaves a lot of extra time where there's less competition. So again, if you're doing that two offers a week, then throughout the whole year, then this can apply for you as well. Now, there's some really cool books at the library. Now, unfortunately, they're not in every library, so you just have to check with your own. And that is these books here, these are usually found in the reference section, so you don't get to check them out, but you can go and look at them. When we think about corporations that offer scholarships, we think about McDonald's or Target or Walmart. And those are, again, highly competitive because there's so many people applying for them. But go to the library and look to see if they have what's called the Book of Associations or the Book of List or reference books, foundation reference books, because what happens is these books contain all these companies that you probably have never heard of that can offer lots of scholarship money. So again, another way to find something that nobody else is doing. Now, I want to talk about 3 myths about scholarships. The first one is that you have to be really, really poor. Well, there are scholarships money for students who don't have a lot of money or their income is low, and again, that's called need-based. But again, that doesn't mean if you fall somewhere in that middle to high income and you don't apply for any of those, or you don't qualify, that's okay, because there's plenty of them out there. You have to be really, really smart. Again, not true. One of the things that having taught test prep for 15 years, is that the majority of our classrooms at the schools that we teach at tend to be made up of the valedictorian, the top 10% of the school. So just because you're really smart does not mean that you're going to get any scholarship money at all, or that you're going to do well on a test. I see that time and time again. Or that you have to be really, really good at sports. I mean, even if you're above average in sports, there's scholarship money out there. Do keep in mind, they give out the academic money first before they give out the scholarship money and the sports money. And by the way, you're probably thinking, what are the 6 sports that give full rides? Football, men and women's basketball, volleyball, tennis, and gymnastics. So I say that, and again, not that you can't get other outside scholarships, but for example, if you have a child who's very talented in soccer, and let's say they go to a certain school, that school, a college might give a school, $30,000, $40,000 for soccer, but what they'll do is they'll divvy that up amongst several students, which, $5,000, $10,000 to go to a $40,000 a year school. So keep that in mind. Now, as you're looking into colleges, and I have a seminar called Knowledge to College: The Keys from A to Z, and there's some real key things that probably 50 things that you need to consider when looking at colleges. Most people think of the top 3: cost, location, and size. But there's really about 50 things to think about. But whatever college that you're looking at, here's some things to ask them. First of all, ask them what percentage of money do they give for need. And that means what percentage of money if my FAFSA says that I'm supposed to be given 25,000 a year, but I don't have 25,000, and that's considered need, how much of that will you give toward the need? What percentage of money comes from scholarships? Again, we need scholarship money, but if you're not going to give me that much, then that's a big, maybe a deal breaker when it comes to the school. And then the last one is, how long does it take the average student to graduate from your school? Because let's say it's 6 years. Well, you have now added 50% on to that tuition cost. So that bill has just gone up. So, again, some very key questions to ask. And again, these will be in your notes. Now, depending on where you live, there could be some special state scholarships that you may or may not be aware of. For example, these are just a few of them, but I've been blessed to teach and speak all across America as well as other countries. For example, in Florida, if I have any Floridians out there, we've been there many, many times. They have what's called Bright Future. Now, Bright Future is a program that if you hit a certain SAT, ACT score, then if you get the top level, there's like 3 levels. If you get the top level, it gives you, I believe, a full ride to any college there in Florida. It also gets your summer school paid for and your books paid for as well. The Alaska Performance Scholarship, again, based on your test score, full ride to any college in Alaska, but also they'll give you a full ride to any trade school in Alaska. So if you want to be a hairdresser or a mechanic, then you can get that paid for. The Hope Scholarship in Georgia, Palmetto Fellows in South Carolina, Bright Flight in Missouri. Now here in Texas, not every Texas school has this, but there's a program called the Texas Be on Time Loan, and that's where you can take out a 0 interest loan. And if your student graduates within, in 4 years with like a 3.0 or above, then they just pardon the debt there. What I recommend, depending on what state you live in, go to the Department of Education of your state, and you might find some scholarship there that you were not even aware of. Now, when it comes to these private scholarships that we're talking about, believe it or not, they're only 5% of all that money we talked about, those $24 billion out there. So when you're looking into websites like FastWeb or GoMary.com or the Awanas Club or various companies like Target and Walmart, again, these end up being only 5%. Treat the outside scholarships like dessert, like it's the icing on the cake, because that's not where the majority of the money is going to come from. Well, where is the most money going to come from? It's going to come from the colleges themselves. That is the key. Nothing wrong with applying for the other ones and having your student look for them, because I think when we get our child to actually do the work, it means they have some skin in the game. So it makes them appreciate it more. So 85% of colleges are going to admit and give money on scholarships money just on test scores alone. So they'll admit and give money just simply based on like an SAT or ACT score. Now, there are also 400 colleges that will meet up to 80 to 100% of need. Like I said, need does not mean needy. What need is, the definition of need is COA minus EFC equals need. This is the formula that colleges use. Cost of attendance minus estimated family contribution equals need. So those 400 colleges will meet up to 100% of that need. And pretty much all colleges give some kind of money, even if it's a token amount of money. And of course, the interesting thing is, very often the most expensive schools have the most money to give. They have endowments and huge funding. So instead of thinking about what college can I afford, don't limit that, because that might limit your student limit his dream college, his or her dream college. Check into expensive colleges, because you might be surprised that not only can be more affordable than some of the others, you may even obviously go for free. So let's talk about the test scores, because this is ultimately going to be the number one thing that they're going to look at. It's what 85% of colleges base their scholarship money on. So let's talk about how to beat this test. So what is it about a test? Well, whether your student is taking an SAT or ACT, it doesn't matter, because every single college, 100% of colleges will take SAT or ACT. They don't care. Doesn't matter to them. They're about 99% the same test. So what happened was back in 2012, when David Coleman took over for the College Board, when the person who, the College Board, the makers of the SAT, it was the first time in history that more students took the ACT than the SAT. Never before had that happened. 1.8 million to 1.7 million. So David Coleman said, you know what, I don't want to lose a piece of the pie here. So what he did was he hired ACT writers to rewrite the new SAT. So the redesigned SAT that came out in 2016 was written by the people who wrote the ACT. Now the good news is, you know, both are used for college entrance as well as scholarship money. And if a college does prefer one over the other, they will convert the score. So for example, a 1340 on the SAT is the same as a 29 on the ACT, or vice versa. But the good news is there's a crossover of information that works on both tests. So the same strategies to beat one test beats the other test. We've got students who've got as high as a 34, 35, 36 on their ACT at the same time, got extremely high score on the SAT or became a National Merit Scholar by using just the same thing. Now this right here is going to show you the minor differences between the two tests. Now you're going to notice there's not that much difference. The reading, you've got one more answer choice on the ACT. The writing and English tests the same thing. Math pretty much tests the same thing. Now there's no science on the SAT, only the ACT, but you don't even need to know one iota of scientific knowledge to ace that science section. It's just like the reading SAT section. So again, no worries. Hopefully that gave somebody some relief there. You don't have to be a science genius. The biggest difference, in my opinion, is the essay, because this one here for the SAT is an analytical response and the ACT is a persuasive response. And this will be in your notes. Now here's why most students bomb a standardized test. So if all your money, the majority of money is tied up in a test score, but we can't beat the test, you know, how's that going to help us? Well, the biggest complaint that I've heard is the timing. You will notice right here that you get anywhere from 36 to 52 to 60 seconds per question. That doesn't count any passages that you have to read or transcribing your answer. SAT, you know, we're talking anywhere from, 47 seconds, 75, 86 seconds. So again, not a lot of time. The good news is that the questions can be answered in 30 seconds or less. So the SAT, it's a standardized test. That means they write the same questions every time. They use the same recurring patterns. They use the same profiles, the same standards. A standardized test has standardized questions and standardized answers. You cannot study for this test. It's not a content-based test. It is a logic test. And the questions are purposely misleading, and the wrong answers can be very appealing. This is why smart students bomb it all the time. So bottom line is, it is a critical thinking test to see how well you can answer questions under pressure in a short amount of time, because critical thinking skills are the only thing that we all have in common. A 4.0 at one high school is not the same at another. Every school weighs and calculates their scores differently. So the only fair way a college can compare a homeschool student versus public or private school student is a test like an SAT, because it levels the playing field. Your student might take hard classes, have hard, rigorous courses, and the guy down the street goes to an easy school, has easy teachers, and has the same GPA as your child. Well, on paper, they look the same. So there has to be some numerical component that's common to all the students. And that's why they use it like a standardized test, like an SAT or ACT. And like I said, most kids say, I can't finish it on time. There's just no way. I spend 2 or 3 minutes on a math problem. Well, if you do that when you've only got about a minute, you're just going to burn the clock up. So I just showed you that. Didn't realize that was in there twice. All right. And here's the thing. Sometimes students will say, well, I feel like there's more than one answer. I feel like that it could be A or it could be B. Well, this test is objective, and there's only one right answer. And so the other answers are very appealing. They look like they could work. The good news is once you understand the recurring patterns, because it takes a different skill set to beat this test, you can learn to eliminate the wrong answers first, which will ultimately leave you with that one right answer. And of course, definitely take the PSAT. The PSAT was written by the College Board, and it's not a practice test. The P doesn't stand for practice. The P stands for preliminary SAT, and / NMSQT, National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test. So the College Board makes both. So if you're studying for one, you're over preparing for the other one. Now, same type of questions. The difference in scoring, though, is that instead of a 1600 on the SAT, it's 1520 is the best score. The only difference as far as content is that the PSAT is 15 minutes shorter. There's a little less math and one less passage, and there's no optional essay. So what happens is the reason why colleges love to have National Merit Scholars is because it's a bragging right for them. So they'll roll out that red carpet and give you all kinds of perks. Now, depending on what state you live in is going to make a difference on what the predicted cutoff score for your state. Here in Texas, 1460, but if you were in California, I think it's a 1480. West Virginia is like a 1410. So depending on where you're at, this link will take you to the scores, the predicted scores, which of course this will be in your notes. Now, if you haven't heard of the CLT, let me introduce you to it. The CLT is the classic learning test. Now this test has been around about 4.5 years. It is the alternative to the SAT and ACT. You're going to find that it has more Western traditions as far as the content is concerned. Passages from C.S. Lewis or Charles Dickens, Augustine. Now, the difference in the CLT is that it is taken on their own device, like a laptop or a computer. It's offered 5 times a year, and you get same-day results. It's accepted at around 200 colleges: Patrick Henry, Bryan, Hillsdale, Liberty, Wheaton, Baylor. And one of the exciting things is, and of course, it's used for college entrance as well as scholarship money. So about 3 years ago, they came, Jeremy Tate of the CLT came to me, and short story long, they partnered with us. So we're the only test prep company they recommend. We wrote a program for the CLT, and you can use my regular program, works just as well. But what's cool is they gave me this partner ID. So I hope that everybody that's listening goes and takes the CLT. And if you take it, and I'm gonna show you why in a moment, why you should take it, use this partner ID CPG18. What that does, that code right there will cut your registration in half. So instead of paying around $54, that drops it down to about $27. Even if you get the free test or do the practice test, still use that ID, because that will enter you into a pot where they often do drawings for like Apple Watches. Now the CLT, colleges do super score it, and they do archive your scores. As long as you keep your account open, your score will be waiting for you. So more about them at cltexam.com. Now, let me give you some exciting things about the CLT. Right now, we have SAT and ACT cancellations across our country. Based on this pandemic, they're shut down. Well, here's the good news. Many colleges, if not all of them, are accepting the CLT, even beyond the couple hundred that already accepted it. That's what Jeremy Tate, the president and founder of the CLT, said to me. He said, their enrollments this week or last week went up 500%, because there's juniors and seniors who needed to get their test in, and they were left, the March test was canceled in most places, and then the June tests have been canceled, July and the ACT and so forth. But the CLT, in many, many cases, is being accepted in lieu of your SATs and ACTs. Now, we've written a program. If you want to know more about our program, which will be out in the near future, you can go to collegeprepgenius.com/CLT, and then we'll send you information about that. But my program now works on it. So again, you don't have to worry about, wait till that comes out. But this is a good way to get more information on the CLT. Now, what's interesting is what Jeremy told me, and this is a letter that he sent me back in October of 2019. So just a few months ago, Harvard actually sent them this letter. Well, what's interesting about this is that when they first created the CLT, 4.5 years ago, they approached Harvard about 30 or 40 times, and they just basically ignored them. Now Harvard is saying, wait, let's look at the CLT, because if you're going to go to a top tier Ivy League school like Yale or Princeton or Harvard, Stanford, everybody already has a high SAT or ACT score. So they're saying that, hey, this could be the differentiator. It could be the thing that stands your student out to also take the CLT, which is pretty cool. So you'll notice that they note that here in their letter. Now, this is really exciting. If you have a sophomore right now, then let me tell you about the CLT 10. The CLT 10 is on par with the PSAT, except that it's for your 10th grader. What happened was they partnered with the NAS, the National Association of Scholars. So they partnered with them to give out scholarship money, and the CLT is offered generally 3 times a year. And it's free, and your student can take any or all 3 of these, and they'll take the highest score for scholarship money. So it's proctored at home, and you can also get an extra $2,500. Well, this has become a game changer. So not only can you get those major scholarship money in the junior year, if you get major scholarship in the sophomore year, now you have all this opportunity to play these colleges against these other colleges. Maybe you don't want to go to one of the schools that accepts the CLT. That's okay, because now you can say, hey, this college over here is giving me a full ride. What are you going to do for me? So let me give you some very important dates. Depending on if your kid goes to a public or private school, they have the top scholar regionally, and then the top 1% is where we're talking about partner with the NAS. So these are the dates that I want to show you. Because the SATs and ACTs were canceled, the CLT didn't have to do anything different. They were already, the test was already on the computer or your laptop. So now what they're doing on April 25th, they are remotely proctoring the CLT at your house. So this is especially for your juniors and your seniors. And if you know anyone who is really panicking, and I know, because we're getting the emails and the phone calls of people who say, what do we do with all these cancellations of SATs and ACTs? I said, no worries. Contact the school and then go take that CLT on the 25th. And they're accepting that. Now, I don't have this up here, but let me tell you a little known secret that nobody knows yet. And that is that they're going to offer the CLT on June 20th as well. They haven't announced it yet, but they told me that I could tell you that. So your junior or senior can be taking this April 25th CLT or the June 20th one. If you got younger kids, they can take the CLT 8, again on par with the PSAT 8-9, and they're offering it every Tuesday in April. It's a great way to show progression. A lot of your colleges have the end of school year assessment. A lot of the states for homeschoolers, they need some kind of end of year to show that your progress. And so CLT 8 is already considered the norm referencing, so you could use it. And then of course for those of you who have a sophomore, they're proctoring at home the CLT 10 on April 29th. So the way you sign up for that is go to cltexam.com. Again, don't forget to use that code. That is not only, even though the CLT 10 is free, that is going to enter you into some drawings, but also if you purchase the analytics, which is free on the CLT and the CLT 8, which gives you a very detailed description of the questions that you missed. It's normally $24, but if you use the code CPG18, it cuts it in half. So again, if you want to know more specific about our program, you can register at collegeprepgenius.com/CLT. Now, you can take a screenshot of this if you want, because these dates are not in the notes, because I put this on here after we did the notes. This way you're well aware of, the testing dates. So again, feel free to do that. Or if you have any questions, you can always ask us. Okay, so if test scores are the #1 thing that you can get scholarship money on, and even if you've got, let's say you've got some amazing McDonald's scholarship or Target or something, you still have to get into college. I've met and heard and talked to people over the years, and there are students who work hard all their life and they get an athletic scholarship, but the SAT score is not high enough to get them into college. They don't get the scholarship money. So you still have to take that test and get a certain score. So the problem is most students don't do well, like I said. So I'm going to show you some example questions and show you what we do and how we have helped tens of thousands of students raise their scores as high, SAT score as high as 700 points and ACT as high as 9 points. All right, so this question here is a math problem. In the figure below, a square is inscribed in a circle with diameter S. What is the sum of the areas of shaded regions in terms of S? So most students are going to take this and start using geometry formulas and pi r square and length times height and dot, dot, dot. Okay, but remember, you've only got about a minute per question. And if you spend too much time, you're just going to burn the clock up. So here's one of the patterns that they use. Notice, they all have an S square. They all have a minus sign. 2 have 1/2 and 2 have pi over 4. Now notice the answer that contains something from all the other answers. That is your correct answer. That is what I call clone invasion. It's where the test makers write a problem and they come up with the right answer, and then to trick the students, they take variations of the right answer to create the wrong answers. But to a trained test taker, they can use that information to their advantage. So this is one of the patterns. It's not the only pattern in math, but this is one of them. All right, this is from the reading. What does the word formative mean in line 12? Now I'm gonna let y'all do this one. So I want you to type in A, B, or C, or D into the chat box. Fixated entrepreneurs are often known as formative in their thoughts and deeds because of their great flexibility in creativity and structure. What does the word formative mean in line 12? Okay, so I'm gonna let y'all go ahead and put that in the chat box. And we'll kind of take a quick little poll. Let's see what y'all think. Everybody got an answer? I can't see them, so Kay don't have to tell me. Do we have a majority?
All right, I lost my mute button for a second. It's looking like C is the heavy answer.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, C, the #1 answer every time I show this problem. It's wrong, but it's the #1 answer. The #2 answer is always A, and #3 answer is B. Those are also both wrong. The correct answer is actually D, the unknown word. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I don't know what that word means. That's okay. You don't have to know what that word means, because this is not a content-based test. There are over 171,000 words in the dictionary, so there's no way we're going to know what they mean. That's not the key to beating the SAT or ACT or the CLT. This is all logic. So let me show you the key. So the vocabulary question, the key is to look for what I call cause and effect words. So in this case, the cause and effect word is because. They did this because of what? Because of their flexibility. So we need a word that goes with flexibility. We know creative has nothing to do with flexible. A and B mean the same thing, so they can rule each other out. And that leaves the remaining unknown word live. Now, even if you don't know what the word means, by process of elimination, it's the correct answer. And you can confidently mark it because you know that A, B, and C are all wrong. And by the way, it means flexible. But again, that's the beauty of learning how to beat the test, because it's all about learning the logic behind the patterns and the questions. All right? A 4-digit number is divisible by 3, and when 10 is subtracted, is divisible by 7, but not 5. Okay, how do you do that in like less than a minute? Well, first of all, one of the keys that we teach is to look at the last digits. Okay? It says it's not divisible by 5. So if we looked at the last digits, we can immediately eliminate both A and B. Now, if we moved over one more number, we know it is divisible by 3, 8 is not, and there's your answer. So again, a matter of just looking at the last digits, just using your logic, not having to crunch a bunch of numbers or do a bunch of calculations. So these are just, again, some of the strategies that we teach in my program. So ultimately, when it's all said and done, your high SAT scores and ACT scores can mitigate low GPAs, or if you fall in that middle to high income bracket. And ultimately, because of rankings. Why do colleges give out so much money? That's because of all colleges are ranked from #1 all the way down. And the higher the score, the higher their rankings go. So when you have a high score, you make them look good, you raise up their ranking, so they're willing to give you lots of scholarship money. And let me show you an example. I just pulled this off online. Notice just right here, based on a test score, the scholarship that they're going to give you. I pulled up full tuition all the way up to full ride plus. Okay, you'll notice, and of course this could vary. They may want you to have a certain GPA, or whether it's interstate or outstate or competitive or not, but you can simply see these are at least full tuition, even up to full ride and more, just based on a test score. So John Brown Presidential Scholarship, 30 ACT, 1390, Alabama State, 26 or 1240. So notice right here, I want to show you, this is kind of cool. Again, I pulled out a few more, and to show you just how 1 or 2 more points on your SAT, or 100 or 200 more on your SAT. You'll notice right here on Liberty Christian, 1310 SAT or 28 ACT will give you 5,500. But you just bump it up about 6 more points on, or a couple 220 on the SAT, and that gives you all your tuition paid for. Or you just say 1350 for just 1 year, but notice you can ultimately get up to 100% of tuition and fees and books and everything. University of Mississippi, 1,500, but just go up 250 points, and you've jumped from 1,500 to almost $24,000. And we have a lot of students at the schools that we teach at that 250 is the average that they go up the first time. We have kids do a baseline before and afterwards of the same test, and 250 is an average. Some go up, 400, 500, 600 more as well. So bottom line is this: you can get free college. It can happen to you. So now let's do one fun last question, and then we'll wrap this up. So one last seminar question. All right. After all we talked about, how many of you would love to have colleges begging you to enroll and they pick up the tab? That happened to us, and we are nobody, and it can happen to you. Full ride, tuition, room and board, grad school, everything paid for based on a test score. All right, good. If you were independently wealthy, I was going to say, well, why are you here? No, just kidding. Awesome. Absolutely. Your decision should be the institution and not the finances. We went from how in the world do we pay for college to where in the world should my son go because he had so many offers. So your kids can ace this test. It's a matter of learning the strategies, the patterns, and then practicing. It's always going to be accuracy before speed. They learn how to do it, and they'll get faster and faster. Skipping most of the passages and answering the math in like 30 seconds. And start early. That is the key. So these type of tests can determine where you get to go to college and who's going to pay. So proper preparation prevents poor performance. So based on test rankings and scholarship money, 85% of colleges will give you money just because you make them look good. So what do? We have been able, one of the things I love partnering with the Homeschool Buyers Co-op is we've been so blessed to work with them for years. And what we've seen with the students who bought our program from them is we get the testimonies back of kids who raised their scores hundreds of points, and SATs and ACTs, and or gone to an Ivy League for free or become a National Merit Scholar, because we show you not only how to cut your time in half, but why the right answers are right, but why the wrong ones are wrong, so that you don't keep making those same mistakes and you can self-correct them. Plus, you can use this as an elective. Test prep can be an elective on your transcript. So depending on what type of student you may have a logically minded, already a good test taker, kind of a left brain, intuitive to them. For those kids, a few more little things can put them over the top. Or you might have the rule follower, the one that works everything out the long way, the one that wants to stress over everything. Again, they just need time to retrain their brain to think logically. And for them, starting early helps lessen that anxiety. So my friend says, look, our kids are going to get busier and busier. Notice as your kids get older, their opportunities start to get steeper and steeper. And timing becomes the killer of opportunities. You cannot get time back. We've got lots of kids who saw our program in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, because as you get older, you get more school and homework and a part-time job and sports and friends and clubs and church. And you don't have the time to devote to beating these tests because there is no instant success. You cannot shortcut the shortcut. And here's kind of the icing on the cake. Once you learn test taking strategies, you can apply them to lots of different tests. These are just some of the tests that people said, hey, you know what, we had your program, but it also worked on this test. Oh, it also worked on this test. So these are just, because most test companies have the same criterion when they write a test. There's one objective, indisputable answer and several distractors. So our strategies have worked on those other tests. So test prep may be an investment, but you know what, your kids ended up with 20 years of college debt. And these are some awards we've won. If you know who Kathy Duffy is, you can go to her website and read her full review. So, you know, we're very honored for that. We were also voted the bestschools.org, which is a public school website. And of course, we are the official test prep of HSLDA. Again, Heidi St. John, Old School Magazine. These are all testimonies that you can read. You can go to our testimonial page and watch lots of videos. So excited that we partnered with Homeschool Buyers Co-op. Well, what they're offering right now is a 21% off of our comprehensive e-course, which drops it down at $149. If you use this code right here, this 6RKSDR, by tomorrow night at 11:59, 4:15, you get an extra 10% off. And so this is the link, and I'll have that back up here in a moment. So, and of course, you won't need to redeem that within 30 days. So that means you get our online e-course, which is, like I said, you can use it for elective. It's mom and dad friendly. We do all the work. You get the homework guide, you get the videos, you get the downloads, you get the e-readers. You have a whole year's access to this e-course that you can go back over and over again. Your younger kids can spend several weeks on one lesson if they want to, even though it's designed for 12 weeks. And then what we're doing in our upgraded, the upgrade to the comprehensive, you get our Vocab Cafe book series e-readers. These are fun, wholesome books, and they're e-readers in the program, but they're normally $67.70. But these are ways that you can incorporate words like lugubrious or plebiscite in the context of the story with the definition at the bottom. And they're fun, they're wholesome, no garbage in or garbage out. And then our 15 Secrets to Free College. If you want to know that list of 400 colleges that will meet up to 100% of need, that list is in this book. Plus it goes on how to get free med school, how to get free law school. What are the fast mistakes that 80% of families make to lose out on all that money, that free money from the government? By the way, it's a myth about that you should only take the FAFSA if you're poor. That's not true. If you win the lottery, fill out the FAFSA. All right, and then our High School Prep Genius book. This is like having a personal guidance counselor. Kathy Duffy has also reviewed it, so you can go online and read her review. It's an e-reader in this upgrade. We do have hard copies too, but this is an e-reader. And it goes into how to skip the MCAT and finish grad school, and undergrad and med school in 6 years, how to do transcripts, what to do every month of every year in high school, how to, what are GPAs, just so much information. That's all. These are all e-readers included. And by the way, go read independent reviews about us online. Don't just take our word for it. So very exciting. These are, again, this is the offer that the Homeschool Buyers Co-op is having right now, the promotion, which will end tomorrow night. And this, of course, is the link. And I think I had that up here. Okay, so I've got this up here. All right. So to get the notes, because I gave you a lot of websites that, that were on there, you want to go to collegeprepgenius.com/search. For the Secrets to Scholarship search. And again, this is the code that you want to use. Plus, they're also giving you 1,500 smart points, which is really cool. So this all ends tomorrow night at 11:59. So lots of information. You might feel like you've drank from a fire hose today, but I don't want to give fluff. I want to give you lots of good stuff. So we are now going to open this up for some question and answers, and hopefully I can answer, your questions.
Great, and thank you everybody so much. We have a ton of questions. We are a little bit short on time, so we'll get through as many as we can. But there have been some really great questions. So one that came up kind of regularly is we have a couple of students on this webinar who are seniors right now. Is it too late for them to get scholarships?
Absolutely not. And as a matter of fact, right now with this sort of situation that we're living in, I think it's a great opportunity because colleges are seeing kids who are maybe kind of taking a step back. They want incomes. We're all hoping that next year is going to open up. But not only is it not too late, you can take your SATs and ACTs even up until the day before you actually start college. So even though there's not any right now, you can certainly take the CLT, but hopefully we'll have some open up this summer, I'm hoping. But no, absolutely, there's still hope.
So if somebody has a student that's a freshman or sophomore now, how does that work for them? Do they apply for scholarships for now or for when they're starting college?
So it depends on which scholarship you're talking about. So if you're talking about an outside scholarship, like a McDonald's or a Jiffy peanut butter contest or whatever, you have those now. When it comes to that particular college, you're going to start, you want to make sure you try to get your SAT scores in, ACT type scores in your junior year if possible, and keep, raising the score up to get to the, the score you want. But you can start applying in your junior year, or, some kids apply earlier, but I would definitely not wait till the senior year if possible. I mean, a lot of people have it. There's usually a deadline in October or November, but you can send them in earlier.
Excellent. I love this question. I think this one's great. If some scholarships only have electronic applications, what can you do to make your child's application stand out? You can't do the manila envelope trick.
That's true. That's very, very true. So what I would do, a couple of thoughts. I guess it depends on the scholarship itself. Number one is if there is a way you can attach your picture to it, maybe you can embed your picture or a little video that, and I'm not techie, so I don't know how to do it. But if there's something that you can say to put a face to the name, that's a way to stand out. I think adding in more is better than less. So when you're, put your brag sheet in there. Your brag sheet will list your accomplishments. It's going to list your volunteer, your leadership skills, your awards. Those are things that people don't think about. So attach all that extra stuff. The more, the better.
Excellent. So are the scholarships on the big scholarships websites like FastWeb and scholarships.com a waste of time because so many people are applying for them? And does it behoove people to look at just smaller scholarships?
Not necessarily. I mean, obviously somebody's going to win the big ones. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But I think what I was saying was don't just apply for those big ones because the competition is a lot steeper. Do look at the little ones. Because again, if it's an essay and you've got the best essay, you can win. Just know that there could be thousands of people that you're competing with.
Excellent. Another really great question, I thought, was we prefer community college first locally and then to a four-year school. Are scholarships available for transfer students? There
are some, not as prevalent as the incoming freshman scholarships for a four-year university. That is what's called the 2+2. So the 2+2 is where you go to 2 years junior college and then 2 years to university. You get the first couple paid for pretty relatively cheap, and then you pay the last two. Or there's what's called the 2+2+2, and that's where you get your associate's degree along with your high school diploma, and then go on to do a 2-year. There are some, but usually transfer students are going to miss out on a lot of the big scholarship money because of, that's how they get their rankings. One of the things, a thought that you could consider is getting some community college or getting some dual credit or AP classes or even some club classes, but not a ton. So you do have some college, but you're still considered a freshman.
Wonderful. My child has volunteered in community service since she was 8. By the time she's in high school applying for scholarships, does she include the years of volunteering during her elementary and middle school as well?
Absolutely. Those are things that you're going to put in your portfolio. And I think we've done the transcript seminar for y'all. I think you have, you may have it archived.
Absolutely. It's available at homeschoolbuyerscoop.org/webinars.
So watch that one because I really talk about that. But that type of activities will go into your portfolio. The reason why it's good, because again, it's established a lifestyle that you volunteered, because there are students who just pad their applications with some volunteer work in high school, an hour here, an hour there, just to make themselves look good. When you've established a pattern that you've been doing this your whole life, it definitely stands out.
Wonderful. Okay, and so this is going to be our last question in honor of April 14th. How do scholarships affect the taxes for the family and for the student?
So I am definitely not a tax person, and I hate financial type questions because I'm like, I I think that's going to vary. I don't know. I actually personally don't know. We have to remember that my son graduated from college in, hold on, let me think. Oh my goodness. 2007. And my daughter 2009. So it was a long time ago. And I don't keep up with any tax laws or anything like that. And whether it's counted for against you or anything, I don't remember. And I occasionally get a question like that. And I need to go look that up. So I don't know that answer. I should find that out. Let me write myself a note, but I will find it out. But probably a simple Google search would probably even help about taxes and scholarships. Okay, income tax. I'll write myself a note here, so I'll be ready next time somebody asks me. But what I do know is this: is that the scholarship money is going for your student, not you, and so it's not like it's coming out of your income, and so it's not like you're gaining anything. Your student is actually the one gaining it. So it's not like somebody, you know, we just got through watching McMillions. I don't know if you've seen that documentary, that docuseries that was talking about it's the scam of McDonald's, the monopoly money. And so these people were winning this, well, they weren't winning it. They were being given the winning ticket. And they still had, but then they had to pay off the mobster. It's a great show, but I don't want to give it away. But they were still liable for the tax money, the income tax, because the money was coming to them. If you think about your student, the money is going to your student. And again, that's not a tax answer because I don't know it, because it's been several years. But I personally don't remember having to pay taxes on scholarships. If I can remember, I don't remember at all. So.
Excellent. Well, I want to thank you so much, Jean, for taking the time to talk about this so thoroughly. This has been super informative and wonderful information. All of our members, thank you so much for joining for this webinar. We really hope that you and your families are all staying healthy and safe in this crazy new world that we find ourselves living in. All of the information, a recording of this webinar will be emailed to you probably tomorrow. So if there's anything that we covered that you missed and want to review, you'll be able to have access to that. You can go get Jean's note at collegeprepgenius.com/search. And then just remember, College Prep Genius is only available on the co-op through tomorrow. I'm not sure when we'll have it back on the site, so don't delay in getting it. And with that extra code, you can save an extra almost $15 on it. So be sure to use that, and that is a special code just for people who are attending this webinar. So we hope you get a chance to take advantage of it. We really, really appreciate everybody taking the time to share with us today. It's always wonderful to have you guys as part of our community. So everybody have a wonderful day. And again, thank you so much, Jean.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.